Do you know Army?
Do you know Army?
Do you know Army?
Do you know Army?
Ooh.
Welcome back,
I need you could have said that with a little more energy.
Trying to muster it up.
It's concert time. We tired, nervous.
It is concert
All right.
time.
Exhausted
We're
every
already
day.
all over the place. We are here today. I'm Sarah.
I'm Mako.
Zoe.
And Buana.
We are here today to talk to you about how Army budgets for all of these freaking expenses it takes.
And by budget,
support
we mean
BTS.
just spend all of our money.
Look,
And that's
then worry
literally
about
what
it
I
later.
mean. Exactly.
budget means so many things for an Army.
So let's start here. Let's take it one spot at a time. So, armies, we spend money on merch.
Mm-hmm.
We spend money on concert tickets.
Mm-hmm.
We spend money on online streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we spend money on? We spend money on
Everything.
everything when it comes down to the guys.
Enough
when
that
it
you
comes
can't
down to
list them all in one sitting.
Yeah.
BT21 stuff.
Now,
That's
even
merch.
extended on top of that, when you spend money on concert tickets, you spend money on
Hotels.
food, travel, hotels, sometimes flights,
Mm-hmm.
on top of merch. Not everybody has merch not everybody does merch online.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had the opportunity at one point to go inside of a store and we lost our minds. Believe me, you lose your mind inside of a merch store more than you do online.
You
We
do.
lived it.
You do.
It's
So-
like your wallet's not even yours anymore. It's someone else's.
What was that? So really quickly, whenever me and Mako and Mama went to LA last time, it was a pop-up BT21 store.
Yeah.
And first of all, we completely forgot that it was there. So we didn't plan for anything. We drove to LA from Texas. And we were like, we could fit ourselves and our luggage into this vehicle.
Zoe rode in the trunk.
Literally. We're
It
not
was a
making
hatchback,
anything
and
up.
she rode around LA in the trunk.
I rode around LA in
That's
the
how packed the
trunk.
vehicle was.
And then, not even that, after my brothers dropped us off at the BT21 store, and they were going to come back and get us. When we went in there, first of all, we went buck wild. Didn't even question the prices.
No, first of all, when we got there, it was a line wrapped around another line, wrapped around the store, wrapped around the block.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't even care.
Mm-hmm.
We got politely in the line and we waited. And the closer we got to that store, I swear my heart started to beat a little faster. I really felt like the adrenaline. And then when we got inside the store, it was like somebody put like a little time clock. There's no time clock, but somebody put a little internal time clock that said you only got 5 minutes to shop, but we had all the time we needed. And so just get everything. And that's what we did.
We literally got everything.
We went shopping and started grabbing stuff like we had a time clock.
Guys, now let me just reiterate. We forgot that the pop-up store was going to be in LA. We didn't have money for it. We didn't plan for it.
No.
But when we went in there, we spent all of our money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trip is when we got out, waiting for my brothers to come pick us back up. Yeah, I was already in the trunk for a reason. My brother was like, "What do y'all think? How are we supposed to get this back to Texas? Do you think we can actually
We literally
travel?"
said, "Shut up, man," and get back in the drive.
We will
Like,
make it
so
work.
the reason he asked that is because Zoe walks out with 2 human-sized bags of stuff. But one had probably 3 because she called the homies and asked them what they wanted. I probably had the smallest bag, but it was still a half a human size bag. We had a lot of stuff. A lot of
Y'all,
stuff.
I was, what's the word, contortionist? I was like, my knee was behind my head and my toes was somewhere else. It was just, I was in the trunk squash between Tata and Koya.
Bringing this back to budgeting,
Oh yeah,
we
Which
were
apparently we're
in
not
LA,
doing.
not for a pop-up store, not for a reunion. We were in LA for a concert.
Yes, our very
so
first.
our budget was supposed to be drive to LA, sleep on somebody's floor, be able to eat.
That was it.
And that was it. And that went out the window.
Somehow
when
we found
somebody
money.
reminded us, because this was the first pop-up store that this country had for the line characters.
No, I think they had one in New York.
No. They came out at the same time.
Oh,
This was the first time this country ever had these line character pop-up, these line character stores. So this was the first year. Now we have them, but this was the first year. So we weren't thinking about the fact that one had just popped up in LA because we weren't used to these stores. And so again, that it goes towards budgeting. Things pop up in an Army's life that you are not prepared for.
And these ladies probably just misled you otherwise, but we are not balling because they made it sound like we're not balling.
We're not.
We're not balling.
I mean, but you can't tell though. You can't tell we not balling, but we not balling.
Y'all are misleading them that y'all have all the money in the world.
We're not balling because let me tell you, because like I said, in budgeting, we were not prepared. But what we did do, we went in there, and that money we had set aside for rent or the car note, they're not gonna let it. They're not gonna kick us out over 1 month. You know, I haven't been behind on my car note, and I can also defer it back to the end of the month or something, and things like that began to go through your head. Now we are adult Army. There are some young armies because armies there is no age grouping. We're all armies from 90 years old to 4 years old. There are some young armies who don't have the privilege of doing that, finagling their pocketbooks. But for you young armies, let me give you a little story. Let me give you a little example that has nothing to do with being an army. But as I was growing up, my mother was a single mom, and when she was able to even give us $3 for lunch, or $2.50 for lunch, and that better last you your breakfast and your lunch at school, so forth and so on. I wanted something. I'm a huge fried chicken fan of Popeyes. And in my teen years, from 10 to 15, 16, my mom was giving the money, and we had a Popeyes open up in my little town for the very first time, and I was hooked. So I would take my little $2 and I'd not spend them. And I would build it up. And then after school, I would go and be like, I want this particular chicken and this is the money I have. And I'm throwing out dollars and coins and stuff like that. You make do or make a way for what you have to work with.
You prioritize.
For what you have. I don't care how small the little budget is for little armies. You prioritize. And I think armies are the best little people on the face of the earth worldwide that know how to do that, because I've seen young armies worldwide who have come up with projects that would blow your mind.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So armies, we are just the shot callers. We are, the bomb diggity.
Yeah, we are.
So that's how you go wild with the budget.
With that in
with
mind,
merch.
One little tidbit that just popped into my mind, for those army who has travel experience, what we're doing, we have the wonderful opportunity to know Sarah, who's got miles or points for hotels.
Right, hotel stuff. It is so freaking helpful to whatever hotel or multiple hotels. You don't have to only pick one. You think you'll probably end up going to. Sign up for every single free reward system they have.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
yes.
if you only use it once a year, because those, at least for mine, which is Marriott Bonvoy, they rack up over lifetime. So even with the rewards I have, I was able to get us some free nights somewhere over time. But I don't even travel that much, especially because of the pandemic. But because I keep this going over time, it gives me certain benefits, and over lifetime, there will be a point, because I'll keep this going, where once I hit a certain amount of points with them, I get upgraded to another tier. Yeah. And that's also for lifetime. And it comes in handy when you don't even think about it.
And her lifetime benefits are our lifetime. We learned.
Yes.
And another thing that Zoe had mentioned before we started this podcast is a great way to budget is to connect with other Army. So instead of doing it all on your own, if you're a group of 4 or a group of 5, trust me when I tell you it is cheaper.
We could not afford to do nearly the amount of stuff that we do together if we weren't together. I mean, absolutely. I was able to get us the hotel for this upcoming concert for free, but the rest of us are splitting other things. Before I was able to redeem this hotel stuff, we've split hotel costs in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if everyone in your group or whatever group you get together is comfortable being in the same room. Think about the price of one hotel room being split between even 2 or 3 people as opposed to just one person. That is huge, huge savings. That's money that can go just towards your tickets, food, merch. Like, every penny really does count, and I understand if you're a shy Army. I truly do. I'm an introvert. I get it. I don't like to talk to people some days. Even people I love, I just don't want to talk to people some days.
We can be a witness to that.
But even if you're not trying to just make lifelong friends with someone, I think it's completely acceptable to be like, hey, Army, I'm another Army that's going to this concert on this day. Who's going by themselves? do you want to split a hotel room? You know, even if you don't agree with how they live, it's only for like a night or two.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you don't have to be in the hotel room.
You don't have to be in the hotel room.
And,
Exactly.
And do not wait. If you in your area, if you're Army on an island by yourself, but anywhere in your area, surrounding area, you start to know of K-pop night or Army getting together here for Jen's birthday or for Sugar's birthday or so forth and so on. Even if you're an introvert, try and step out on your ledge and go to some of those events, because you will, at least at one or two of them, meet some armies that you can keep in touch with and throughout the year. And you're not waiting till the last minute when concert season comes around and you're like trying to find somebody that to actually be able to share things with.
The bill with you. See, you might even meet another introvert Army who decided to test the waters that night, and then you guys can be separate together.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, you don't have to put a ton of pressure on yourself and pressure yourself to become best friends with this person. You guys can literally just politely agree with each other. We're going to split the cost for this trip together and do X, Y, Z.
I mean, but you have BTS in common, so I'm pretty sure you'll
yes,
probably
you're
get
probably
along.
end up being friends, but I'm saying, like, for an introvert, you don't want to pressure yourself too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's another thing for budgeting. Although it's really hard to do, especially when you're frantic and you've never done it before, it's very easy to jump on the first deal you see. So if you are like, I need plane tickets, I don't want the prices to skyrocket, I'm gonna get the first one I see. Still, look, just a little bit. Within 10 minutes, take your time to look, because you might find
multiple
a cheaper
places.
deal. Check multiple places, which is why it's another good reason to have someone else with you. Even if it's not an Army person that you have with you, if you have a family member who's really good, who flies all the time, has miles, or knows which flight is best, have them, hey, I have this
use them
thing
as a
coming
resource.
up. Use your resources.
Yeah.
That's what we did to get our plane
Exactly.
tickets and to get an idea of where we're going when we're going.
And again, let me go back to Young Army, because I'm sometimes on the social networking platforms, and I see Young Army talking about, I'll never be able to do this, I can't do that,
Yeah,
I don't
a lot
have a
of them
budget,
say
I
that.
don't. You always have a relationship with whoever your guardian or your parent is. Have a relationship with them and make them aware that you're Army. This is what vibes in my life. If you have a great support system, or even if you don't, find somebody that you can actually make them aware what is important to you. Because when it comes down to concert buying time, or when it comes down to having to budget on wanting things, when it comes down to the guys and being Army, that is your resource. That's your resource when you don't have a job, when you are a minor, so forth and so on. And you can go to them and say, this is important to me. You know that. And then, pandemic aside, prior to the pandemic, we knew when concert time was coming around. We knew. But you spend the entire year building up a relationship or a rapport with somebody that knows this is important to my kid, or the person I'm taking care of, or this kid in my neighborhood who's always coming to my house, and use them as a resource. That can be a part of your resource, and tell them, I don't know how I'm going to get to LA, which is an hour away from me, or, so forth and so on. And your parents hopefully they will.
For those long-term planner armies, whenever someone asks you that crazy question of what you want for your birthday, or Christmas is coming up, or blah blah blah, or your coworker's like, girl, you are the best coworker I ever had, I want to get you something, what you want?
This is my concert fund.
Exactly. Like, I have a jar, I'm building it up, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's coming and I need some money. I don't care how much it is, just cash. The money they gonna spend on your gift, say just give me the money and set that aside.
Yep.
So it's
That's
like
great.
a long-term
That's
plan.
a really
And
good idea.
we've been talking a lot about concerts, but something I also wanted to bring up is, I know that some Army feels pressured to get every single merch that exists in this world. And let me tell you, as of today, that's too much.
That's too much.
You do not need to get every single piece of merch that exists in this world under BTS's name. And you're not any less of an Army, even if you get no merch.
Yeah.
I don't want any Army to feel peer pressured into buying really expensive merch just because it reminds him of BTS.
Or because they supposedly have to represent.
Yeah. Right, or that they have to
because
rep.
they see everybody on Twitter is showing off their
Yes.
stuff, or everybody on Twitter is rushing for it, or Facebook is
If
rushing
all
for
you
it.
can afford is just the concert, is completely acceptable to prioritize a concert.
And here's the thing.
Because a concert is woo.
Even when you go to the concert, what do you see lined up along the stadium?
Merch.
Other armies who create their own merchandise and give them away to armies who can't afford.
Yeah. That's how I got my first Army I call them a fan. They call them pickers or whatever. But it was not a official concert.
It was Army made.
What the hell are those things? Whatever they're called, the fans. It was Army made. You know,
So you will still get something outside of just the concert going experience. You do not necessarily need to be balling for it.
Yeah.
You can go get the concert ticket and all the necessities. And then when you go into that area of nothing but Army, you are in a family that gives and gives and chatters and all of that.
Now let me say this: we have talked a lot about concert and prioritizing when it comes to concert. If you want to, it depends on how you live your Army life. Some armies, just like we did a podcast or a film. Of filming about different types of armies. Some armies prioritize in a way where they feel like, I'm never going to make it to a concert, but this is what I like to spend my money towards. That takes a degree of budgeting also. That takes, and that's why I gave my Popeyes example.
Yeah,
you know, it's expensive to be armed, but do it within reason. Do it within reason and prepare for everything and limit yourself. Find out what you want to prioritize as an army, as an individual. Find out what you want to prioritize. If your prioritizing is concert, know that you're going to have to give up on a lot of that merch. Especially if you're young army, or if you're a adult army who is seriously having to budget, prioritize what you're going to put the degree of your money towards.
Budgeting is a mindset. It is a mindset. If you put your mind to really wanting to go to a concert or really wanting to do XYZ, it is a mindset. It is something you're going to have to put your mind to.
And stick with.
And I don't think it has to be something that gets you down either. You know, budgeting,
it shouldn't be a burden.
It is all about choices. If you have to give up a certain amount of things to be able to go to a concert, keep your mind focused on the fact that every time you sacrifice something to go to the concert, you are one step closer to making that come true.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you, I just budgeted how much these tickets may potentially cost for this upcoming concert. As of today, the Permission to Dance concert's coming up. I budgeted for that, and then the airplane ticket and everything that will come for that. I ain't got no money for merch. I ain't got no money for a Cotton Eye Joe but some french fries. Right? But so, and I mean from today onward, I ain't got no money. But when I think about the fact that the money that I am spending towards this, it's worth it. I'm spending it on something that is worth it.
So find out what is worth for you. What is worth it for you? So I would like to bring this budgeting even to a broader stance. There are a lot of Army who have aspirations or dreams or fantasies about taking a trip to South Korea. And it does not, if you're serious about that, you don't have to fantasize about that. You can budget towards that, but make it a longevity type thing. Make it realistic. Nothing is going to happen within a year. If you are a young Army, nothing is going to happen within a year. Or if you are an Army who is having to support family. But make it a longevity thing, and it can come to fruition. It can. Budgeting, it can come to fruition.
It ain't easy, but it can happen.
It can definitely happen.
She's a little devastated right now.
You can definitely do it. And I was just telling them that I wanted to get some In the Soup merch because I have not gotten any. And I told myself I can get one item because of the prices of these things. I had to make a choice on what item, and I put myself in a payment plan for that item.
PayPal payment plan.
Yes, because it costs that much. But that was a choice that I made, you know? And like we said earlier, being able to do anything as an Army is all choices, and you do not have to feel bad for whatever choice you make. Don't let anyone peer pressure you into what money you have to spend or when, even if it feels like everyone around you is trying to get concert tickets and you feel like you don't want to, but you have to, don't feel that way. You know, for a lot of Army, a concert is the end game, but it doesn't have to be for everyone.
That Army who feels so unfortunate as to have not been able to go to a concert one day wins a free ticket to South Korea. At the same time, our boys are returning home from concert. That can happen in your future. You know, you never know what might pop up when you have an opportunity that another Army might not.
Right, and it's completely possible, too, for you to end up having to choose between a concert trip or going to Korea. Because for us who's budgeting for both of those things, the only way that we're able to do that is that we've had Korea as a running fund for years now. Like Juana mentioned, a longevity thing.
And we're working
but
together.
if we weren't planning that for years already and say we got the chance to do both, I don't think we'd be able to do both in the same year.
Not in the same
Exactly.
year.
Unless we made a choice to get a second job or something like that.
Exactly.
And sometimes that can be a choice for you.
Yes.
To get a second
More
job.
than one of us have done that, to get a second job just to afford the stuff per
That we
army
want.
that
Yeah,
we want.
so that's an option.
So
and everybody hiring.
let me say this also when it comes to beginning to think about every aspect of budgeting. And it made me think of it when Sarah was talking about if you're that army that, wants to buy a lot of merch, so forth and so on. Guys, there's a shift in atmosphere as far as our army culture is concerned. We have seen a lot of changes happen, and we've talked about that in our podcast. And we also talked about the change of hands. We talked about the new CEO that is in Korea. And I don't care about, it's not that I don't care, that's the wrong choice of words. Not overlooking the fact that we have a CEO here in the States. There's CEO in Japan for HYBE. There's CEO in Korea. I honestly firmly believe, and I could be absolutely wrong, but I feel like the pushing power is still based in Korea when it comes down to decisions.
I would agree with that.
So with that in mind, keep in mind that we also talked about the powers that be at HYBE Korea come from a different kind of culture. They come from a company that has a huge monetizing culture. I'm not saying, and we have said before, we can only speculate where things are starting to go, but we have seen some small changes here and there. So when it comes down to, if you have already felt yourself becoming a fanatic behind merch, and you've told yourself more than once, I have spent too much on this, I've got to stop. I've spent too much on this, I've got to stop. Start getting yourself into control, because the powers that be now do come from a culture of company that monetizes everything. And we gave an example of, from 2 years ago, an Army membership was one package, one price, one membership, and you got all the bells and whistles. To the very next year, it changed. To this year, it has changed to where there's like 4 and 5 different packages for different pricing. Those small changes, it's going to increase because, as I said for the 4th time now, the culture of the head of the company now. So keep that in mind. If you've ever thought to yourself, I need to get some spending in control as far as my Army merch or Army, fund, start doing it now.
I haven't bought any Army merch in a minute. I haven't.
While we're on the topic of merch, there's even a couple things that you can do to help reduce the cost of merch. For example, if you're buying something that's coming from Korea, you might even consider getting into a group buy with other people, so you only have to split the shipping once. Because shipping from Korea is a pretty penny. And let me tell you, it would be a lot cheaper if, for example, all 4 of us were buying something and we bought it on the same order and just Zelled or quick paid each other, as opposed to each of us making our own purchases.
Kind of like how we just Ubered our food.
Yes,
today.
on one thing. You have to be considering all of those little details, because they may seem minuscule in the moment, but if you add them up, it can be
Exactly.
it can be honestly the very difference in you trying to get a concert ticket, especially with the
It will
concert
probably
ticket.
end up being the cost of a concert ticket, or
Because
even
they
the
don't
cost
tell
of
you
Korea.
exactly the prices for concert tickets ahead of time. You could be saving so much and then get there and find you're like $10 short or something like that.
And then also, when as to spin off of what Sarah was saying, if you're ordering from Korea and you're in a different country than Korea, that shipping is going to be, also take a minute to see what your local shipping is, because I know here in the States we can order global or US. So if something sells out quickly for US, maybe wait until it replenishes. I know a lot of armies, and I've been guilty of doing this. If it's gone, I do a global, and I do it from Korea, and I'm paying a lot in shipping, where I really could have just waited until the reverse shop US opened up again with that same stock up, and they're stocking all the time. They're restocking all the time. So
maybe even check the news for what your nearest line store is gonna do, because we found out that we were able to buy BT21 merch from a place in Dallas, and obviously going there, and one of the reasons why we went so crazy buying so much stuff there is that overall it would be cheaper than us buying everything to be shipped from Korea. And then some of you Army, depending on where you live, may find out that you're actually close enough to the nearest Lion store that you guys can put together a trip and split the cost of that.
So
or even have shipping from there.
Yeah, so do some research. Do some research, because the place we found in Dallas, which is 3 hours away, we also found that they will ship to us. You know, which is
I'm gonna just throw out there for those small businesses that armies do. I find that sometimes I don't want to have the same thing that everybody have, but I still want to rep Army or I still want to rep BTS. And so then I look at those smaller companies, you know, that are Army ran and get, you know, specialized things made. So that's a great way to budget as well.
You reminded me something of a great suggestion as well. Something that we have done is that we've made our personalized merch where we designed our own Army t-shirts instead of getting
we got so many
official
compliments.
stuff.
Yeah, we have t-shirts, we have long sleeve t-shirts, we have hoodies, and almost everywhere we go, people ask us, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Where'd you go? We designed it, and we went across the street and had the t-shirt company make it.
And you don't even necessarily have to have a t-shirt company make it. I think it'd be super fun if you're really crafty to get together some of your friends and make your own merch. You know, just get your own Walmart t-shirts or something and make your own merch instead.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel ashamed at all if it's not directly from, I keep wanting to say Big Hit, but Big
or
Hit
Reverse or wherever.
And you get a really good feel of that atmosphere when you go to a concert, because Army is making everything. And you guys have seen it on different platforms. You've seen it on Amino, you've seen it on Twitter,
it's on Etsy,
you've seen everybody
it's
is making
Amazon,
everything. So consider that. I mean, and speaking of Etsy, you know, consider those armies that are making things and putting them on Etsy, as opposed to having to get from shipping from Korea, so forth and so on.
We know an Army in our Bangtan group who is extremely crafty, and she has made the most beautiful BTS, what you'd consider merch, but she's just made it within our group, and I think that is such a viable option for anyone. You know, she purchases things too, but there's a lot of things she makes herself that are completely personalized. You know, your very own BTS planner that's exactly how you want it. You can do clothes, you can do all kinds of stuff, and I promise you that will be also way cheaper, because she says all the time that she just goes to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and goes to the bargain bin, and she can make so much stuff just from getting what's on sale.
And don't think you have to have a certain lifestyle to be able to do that, because she is a single mom and full-time healthcare worker. So
do not say you don't have time for that.
She does this in her relaxed time. This is a pleasure for her to do. So it takes patience. It takes thinking things through. And it doesn't matter your age range. It doesn't matter your pocketbook. It takes those two elements, patience and thinking things through and being smart about it, and not just having a knee-jerk reaction when the merch goes on sale or the tickets go on sale or the this or that. That is for every pocketbook and every age.
Reiterating what Mimi said. It's a mindset. You have choices, and you need to get yourself into the mindset that you do have choices no matter what situation you're in. Don't take that victim mindset where you're just constantly like, oh, I'm poor, I'll never be able to do anything, because that's just not true.
That's exactly.
Think on the Hobie side of life. That means think on the sunny side of life.
Because we hear it way too much, and it's just simply not true.
So, or it doesn't have to be true.
It doesn't have to be true.
It doesn't have to be.
You can't make it happen. You will make it happen.
It's a mindset.
So that's our take on Army budget, from the rooter to the tutor.
That's what we can do from the rooter to the tutor.
As much as we can think of to give you of our experience thus far. So.
I hope that you're able to do all the Army stuff you want with these new budgeting tips. Be responsible, figure out your priorities, put yourself in the right mindset, and get your ass to work.
And you too can go to a concert
or South Korea.
Let's be honest though, whenever tickets go on sale and we need plane tickets and hotel things, we forget about rent and bills and all that. We just put all of our money goes there, and then we consider, so how am I going to make rent?
So I mean, we have done that. However, the better way to do it is to know when concert buying ticket season is coming, and you have
because typically we are prepared for
typically.
that. Typically we are prepared for that. But
yes,
this came out of nowhere.
For example, we chose to not refund our concert tickets from last time, not just because we wanted to keep our seats, but also because that was kind of a way for us to keep that fund there.
Yeah.
So that if,
We done spent that money,
Exactly. That money is already set aside. That's something you can do too. If you already know ahead of time that you don't know when concert season's going to come, especially in this day and age, and you don't know how much it's going to be, just start a fund,
Set it aside now.
Yeah. Young armies, get your bank. Mama, I need a bank.
Yeah.
Because that's my army. That's my concert bank.
Yeah,
Mama, I need a bank because that's my merch bank.
it's easier to add on to money than have to start from the ground up.
Right. Don't let yourself get caught unprepared, because even if you have a little bit, it goes a long way. And even if you don't have enough by the time concert time rolls around, you'll have a better idea how much you'll need next time.
Or you can even, we going back. That's your tips for budgeting.
So are we going to final thoughts?
Final thoughts, yes. Final thoughts.
My final thought on this is we were talking, I thought, we're saying a lot about the care of the pocketbook of armies and what's important to us as armies. There may be some individuals that hear this or come across this and they're thinking, these people are crazy. They come from a fanatic fandom that is just all they think about is such and such and such and such. To that I say, everything about being an army and the things that go along with what we purchase as far as an army is concerned goes toward our mental status and our mental health. Anybody that is army is a hardcore army or a fun-loving army or a lighthearted army because of the benefits of what it does for you mentally and then physically, because your mental stability goes right along with your physical stability. So we're not just pushing concert merch and merchandise and this and that, because that's all of what's important in life. Being an army and the things that help us thrive as army has benefited our holistic lifestyle, holistically. It encompasses everything about our life. And it encompasses everything about your child's life or your sister's life and I'm talking to non-armies that may run across this, or even new armies that are like, these people are just fanatics. I don't know about being in this fandom, so forth and so on. It's not just about budgeting for what we want as armies. It's about our culture, our army culture.
And look, the memories that you make at something like a concert are something that are going to be there forever. It's been about 3 years since we've been at our last concert in Chicago, and I can still think about that today and feel happy about it.
Yeah.
And, for so many of us, it's hard to find something that gives you that much consistent, stable joy.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what someone likes. Even talking for other people, if they like something you think is crazy, if it really brings them joy, then that is worth the money. You can't spend your money on anything better. So don't feel dumb if, someone doesn't understand how much you want to go to a concert. If it really brings you joy, try to explain them that.
Yeah.
Nothing brings me more joy.
Yeah. My final thought is nothing has brought me that much joy. It's when you're used to seeing somebody on a little bitty screen, you question whether they're real or not, right? And when you get to go to a concert and you see them in person, and it's just, my goodness, it's mind blowing. Like my first concert, it was hazy at best because I was just so floored by seeing our boys and them performing like there was no end. So if a concert, and I have no idea what your goals are, but if concert is one of your goals, I'm going to tell you, having been to several, it is absolutely worth it. So by all means, budget and save your pennies, your dimes, and your nickels.
The high that a concert gives us, we live off that high for the whole next year.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And
as much as the boys needed, we needed. I'm telling you, it's insane.
Something I want you to consider for money too, if you're worried about, prioritizing your everyday expenses as opposed to a concert. Unfortunately, your everyday expenses will be there the rest of your life.
True.
Okay. I don't care how different people see quote practicality, but I'm gonna have bills the rest of my life. That's always gonna be a thing. But I don't feel great saying this, but I truly don't know how many more concerts will come across in my lifetime. So if you think of it from that perspective, to me, it's a small price to pay to put myself in short-term difficulty for my everyday expenses to be able to go to this possibly only
Once in a lifetime.
That's a good way to put it. Short-term difficulty.
Exactly. This is short-term difficulty,
Yeah.
but this concert memory will be something that I was only able to go that one time in my life, and that memory will be there forever, and I can worry about my everyday expenses later.
Because you're going to worry about them anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my...
Yeah.
That was my final thought. Just whatever you want is a mindset, and you can have it. Stop saying you can't. Stop saying you won't be able to. Because if you say you can't, then guess what? You can't. If you say you won't be able to, then guess what? You
That's a
won't be
choice.
able to. So you got to change your mindset because you can do it.
Last thoughts, Zoe?
Well, I said my final thoughts at the beginning of, you know, I kind of just spend all my money and then think about things later.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. That's
But
the way
I
to go.
mean, with all the pain and anxiety that comes with being broke as a joke, and living off of sandwiches and French fries, it's worth it. So I'm content with the fact that it's worth it, and that'll get me through these next billing cycles.
Yeah, because it is.
It is.
Because if it wasn't, trust and believe, we would not be doing it.
And
Show me
right
right.
now, as we speak, as we're recording, we all mentally need an upgrade. And our choice, our Army lifestyle choice, is to put all of our efforts and monies and consideration into these upcoming tickets in 2 days.
I can't wait till we film our next podcast so we can let you know
Oh,
what the
my
end
God.
result is. So you got to keep tuned, okay? You got to wait for our next podcast so you can find out. Dun, dun, dun. Did they get it?
Listen, y'all, bottom line, we going to LA. Like, we can't not
Oh, for
be.
sure.
When the guys are in the States, just when the guys are in the States, you know, and we can get there, we're going to go.
Yeah.
And y'all, I hope you budget well enough that we'll see you at the next concert.
Yay!
And with that,
Now you know Army.